I'm in the Wharf controls, and right now I don't have the Wharf turned on. I have the scene kind of dark. I have some sunlight on the city. So let me turn that on, and you see this whole edge. So this basically finishes off the city. And just take a quick render. So now we can see the wharf, and we've got our buildings along the edge. I'm going to turn the sun down, and I'm going to turn these wharf streetlights on, and you see them light up. And I'm going to activate these parameters one at a time so you can see what they do. So we see these lights. I've got quite a bit of global lighting in there. I'll take it down a little bit. So the city's basically dark, but we do have some glow from these lights that are shining on the buildings. And right now, the wharf lights are not visible. They're just shining there. So we can turn them on, make them visible. And you'll see now that we have a little dot of light that actually reflects. Now there's no pole on these. I didn't go into that kind of detail for this. And we've got the street light color, the street light intensity, and the street light glow distance. So right now it's set to 180. Let's take that down. So it really depends on what you're looking for. If you want a really bright scene, or if you want something a little more subdued, I'll take it back up a little bit right now. Next, down in the Wharf Edge streetlights, and this is just to control the streetlights. So right now I've got the count at 130, and I have an offset of 36. So what does that mean? I'm going to go out of here, and I think you'll be able to see it much easier. And the only reason I did this was to cut down on the amount of lights in the scene. So if we go up like this and get kind of an overview of it, you see that the lights stop and start, and that's the offset. So once you get your camera set up like that, and let's say they're not in there, you just have to bring the offset until they fill your scene. And then this changes the start, so that'll spread them out, and of course reducing the number will spread them out as well. Below that we have additional wharf lighting. I'm going to turn off the street lights just so we can see the lighting as I turn it on. Okay, so this is the storefront lighting. If you remember from the window lights, there was also storefront lighting. This is specifically for the wharf only. Anyway, let's turn those on, take a quick render. I'm going to go ahead and build on that and turn on the roof lighting. And the roof lighting we may not see real well from this angle. Let's find out. It's the very top of the roofs. And they're not on all of them. It's just on specific ones. Like this has some, this has some. I'm going to turn on the roof rim lighting. So, okay, so actually, let me turn the roof lighting off. I think I'm going to go all the way across because not all the roofs have roof rim lighting either. Okay, so that one does. There's another one there, another one there. All right, so I'll turn that back on. The next is the wharf surface lighting and the color. So now we have some illumination on that wharf surface. And then there's a seawall in here as well between the buildings. I'm going to turn that on. You don't see that as much here. There's a little bit of the seawall. There's some of the seawall. And underneath that are the pier controls. So right now the piers aren't on. So I want you to see those come on. So let's turn the piers on. And so we've got some piers. I'll turn on the pier surface lighting so that we can actually see them in this darker scene. Okay, and of course it has a color control. And then there's also pier edge lighting. And I could just go in on these, and you'll see they're like little docking lights. So you have complete control over all of this lighting. All right, under here is Wharf building controls. And this first control is rotate entire wharf. And each time you move this by a number, it's going to rotate the wharf 90 degrees. So the main city is not going to move at all. So if you've set up your buildings, you set up your camera, you like the angle, you like the way you have your buildings arranged, but you don't like the way the wharf is falling, okay, if you dial this to 1, you see the buildings have changed, the piers have changed. All right, let's take a quick render of that. This is a little different kind of a dock here. Dot to 2. Okay. And what's changing are these little outcrops and, of course, the amount of piers coming out. And that's 3. And that gives you a little more variation on the overall look of the city. And under that are the individual wharf building groups. Okay, so these are separate building groups from all the other groups. And these sliders control the height. So you can have everything from little boutiques and shops to hotels on your waterfront. Okay, let's take a quick render of some of those taller buildings. Yeah, you can't see a whole lot because there's not a lot of light on them. Let's turn these wharf lights back on so we can see these buildings better. And so now you've got some nice hotels if you want it. And then here's just some little shops. You might be wondering, well, where are the window lights? Those are all controlled by the main window groups, just like all the rest of the buildings. And now we've got lots of window lights. And that's about it for the wharf.